So if you're a bottle-fed baby, okay, first of all, you're only fed usually by the habitual hand of the caretaker. So if I'm a right-handed person, then the baby's only going to get feeding from here.
Yeah.
So just what I did for your vision, again, rooting all of these kind of things. Now again, depending how I hold the baby, what if I'm here trying to do the baby? You know what I mean? Now I have upper quadrant vision being stimulated versus lower quadrant visions being stimulated. So that can be affected, especially what I just showed with you with the flat head. The flat head is automatically going to bring the baby's, ocular muscles to this level.
Sorry, what did you call it? Upper and lower?
So if I can only look this way, it's upper quadrant vision, so everything's here, more disassociated that they want to.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and I can still, you know what I mean, kind of thing. I'm not saying all parents, but the one thing that really concerns me, a bottle-fed baby, see where his stomach is. So you're not twerking through the abdomen. Whereas a nursed baby, now you have more of this kind of positioning. So the baby's moving around, rooting as they're nursing. But then you also have the other side. And then depending too where you are doing with breast tissue. So I might do a football hold if I'm lying down. There's much more ways of digesting and eating that is offered to a child where you're not necessarily going to lie back in bed, let's say, and bottle feed your baby.
Right.
Kind of thing. Because then also you risk aspiration, whereas a breastfed baby, you can get a little bit of the head lifting and stuff like that. So there's just minor things, but again, these are opportunities that your baby's not getting per se. And so now baby can be adopted. Mom could have just had C-section, way too many drugs. So there's many reasons why a parent can't nurse. I'm not saying, oh, bad parent. However, if that child is not getting the opportunity to nurse, even just to minorly stick the finger in and do that palate work is a great way of stimulating all that upper movement through the jaw and that, see, just like I just worked on you. Do you see how the head rotates like this versus a bottle-fed baby that's only getting this kind of patterning? So you just stick your finger in there and just...
How far?
Oh, just really, even just on the gum line, This is where, again, I probably would prefer having a bit more cranial work, that knowing about palate, because again, you don't want to get into gag reflex, but I've done this kind of work on adults and just done the palate work. But if you do upper movement, you see how the head rotates, just like I had with Jill and you. But again, a bottle-fed baby,
and so that it isn't, the flat head isn't being.
But you really could just be touching the lips and just be doing it. It doesn't have to be that you're sticking your fingers, especially if the child's really got teeth. I have a great silicone finger I can put on that, like a big chomp down. But again, if the child has a high palate, all of these conversations get affected too, because now the soft tissue of their palate doesn't breathe.
Is the palate
and it affects
the mouth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What if you have a child with a palate that's either high on one side and flat on another side?
So that about 20 months.
But in a healthy baby, it's better to breastfeed, obviously, because with a bottle they can aspirate, is that right? They can more easily.
Well, when you've got issues with palate, tone, all that, either way, if you can nurse a baby, even at 3, they're going to be, and that's where the NG tubes come in and stuff, and the G tubes. I would prefer a G tube over NG tube.
But we actually, in the NICU, we do sidelining now, because if you think about it, when a baby's nursing, they truly are in sidelining. So that milk is pooling out the side of their mouth instead of the back of their throat. Whereas most bottle-fed babies are, you just kind of put the bottle in and the milk pools them back to the throat. So we do sideline for our bottle-fed babies.
I would like to ask you afterwards about the G2 baby I'm working with.
Sure.
Who is gagging at everything.
Yeah, sure. But this movement that I just started, you should feel with the baby's head that they just go whoop, whoop, whoop. It's just this little neutral positioning. This baby is actually pretty lifelike. If anybody wants to take turns and just, feeling any of that. But that's all I'm looking for is basic head rotation. Head rotation, most people are going to look at the side to side, but the up and down is there too. But that's, again, just these conversations that you're talking to a parent, you know, and just explaining where, oh, you know, if your baby's not getting nourished. But if you notice too, with this little bit, look at the elbows, just from that little bit, what the placement they're getting just from the head position. You're really gonna see this tomorrow with the 1-month-old baby. Just like that, that they just, for every movement you make, there should just be an instant counter from the moment they're born. And they just have this really nice little quality of movements. So now we're gonna get into shoulder work. When you're coming down now to the shoulder, I call this my pizza hand. It's just a flat, you know, you're just going in after pizza. You know how you go get pizza out of the oven with the big, you're just doing this. You're dealing with a baby, an infant nervous system. Just the width of your hand is a movement. So if you really have a hard time, then I can come over a little bit and lift and put underneath. But if I'm already doing that, then I know I have a problem. So you're just going to lift just ever so slightly. You know, you don't need to go in and go, oh, does this child's shoulder rotate? You know what I mean? Because they're not going to have full shoulder extension anyway, but...
You're going like, when you're under the shoulder, are you going like up or are you going like this way too?
all I'm doing is just this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just... It might look like I'm going up if the baby's sort of active. That's why, you know, I don't mind working on a 6-month-old, so the ground rules, like, you know, if I'm doing an assessment, I like to do them where they're, you know, still in back position. They're not really coming up to sitting, because you think they're doing this, but it's actually the child going to work.
Gotcha.
And, but a child typically, again, responding to stimuli. So same thing, if you go under the C7 response, and you just touch right there, base the neck C7, you get a back archer, yeah, again, not a good sign. And that's where it was when I came under there. So if I touch a child and he back arches right away, that I look at as me. I really try, I look at as me, because I've overstimulated them to go to that position. But you're going down the chest cavity. Now, you can stand back here. I like to do just, I'm checking out both at the same time, but for those of you that just want to do the right side, left side, they're babies, so they'll hang out there. They won't get stressed out. You can do this when they're sound asleep. I'll be doing all the assessment on every single one of you, just so you can feel how you can do the assessment quite nice and easily. Coming underneath the elbow, and again, the back of the elbow, in a baby in particular, if you just give them enough, you should feel where the elbow wants to cross midline, versus necessarily bringing them where they full on rotation. You can do both. I call this my little strawberry hold. You're just right here. Same thing with your straw. It's like you're picking up a strawberry. You're not, you know, you don't want to damage the fruit and that kind of thing going down into the wrist. But same thing, if you're underneath here, and you can just do it. And if it's again, if it's done right, even from the wrist, you'll see how the elbow and the shoulder should respond. From here, but again, if you're doing, I'll stick with that. I'll do a dual assessment as well as a single. Now, again, this is where the knee is key, and this is what I was trying to show you with Paul. If a baby, I should be able to move the knee in and out of midline.
And that's midline to the knee, not
That's
midline
the
to
knee
the body.
Midline to the knee. I have a bunch of midlines. Most people think of only midline as the body. Again, I believe the knee, back of heel, back of elbow, trochanter, which is our knobs on the side here, and nose, back of head are all midline. And then I could do same thing with the foot. The foot, honestly, I could just do an assessment off the foot. If you get windshield wiper, when that foot does this, we got a problem. Because you're not getting any of that midline crossing, you're not. The foot should make almost like a stamp a letter X.